New Era. Run that. DJ Drama.
I don't wanna fuck unless she nasty. Beat, if I do it's cause she asked me. I don't wanna fuck unless she nasty. I gotta give it top in the backseat.
All right, man, here we go. NewEraTV, iHeartRadio. We doing a Zoom thing right now. I got the legendary DJ Drama in the building. I've been plotting this interview for years, so you can see the smile on my face. I grew up listening to this guy since 2005. He's the reason I even picked up a mixtape, literally, to this day. Wow. DJ Drama's in the building. How you feeling, man?
I'm good, my brother. I'm humbled by those words. Thank you, man. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad we could finally connect, make it happen.
For sure, man. You look tired, man. You working out there.
I do? Nah, I ain't tired. I'm just relaxed. I just worked out, had a little hot shower and then the sauna, so I'm just relaxing, you know what I mean? Big day, so.
Gotcha. How that quarantine treating you, man?
It's been good, man. You know, I mean, with all things aside, you know, 2020 was a pretty blessed year for me. So, I mean, you know, Atlanta, we're not that quarantined anymore. So we're pretty open, but, you know, overall, you know, I have to say this was definitely a year to remember for me, and one that'll, you know, that honestly I'll cherish, you know, for the good and the bad.
Dope. Yeah, like I said, I came up in around 2005, and the first mixtape I picked up was the Trap or Die mixtape.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since then, I've been rocking with you, man, studying you and just, you know, seeing how you move and, you know, how you build your brand. And I'm proud to say I haven't clocked in to a 9 to 5 in almost 16 years, man.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Full time. So let's take it back to the beginning, man. How did you come up with the name DJ Drama?
I came up with the name. I actually teenagers in high school. His name Bakari. They were older than me, and Bakari's last name is Drame. He was from Senegal, and he used to kind of dabble in DJing, but he used to, like, you know, sell mixtapes and incense and things back in Philly. You know, I was born and raised in Philly, and Hakeem used to always call Bakari like DJ Drama, like, because his last name was Drame. And around the time I was trying to really figure out a DJ name, I had toyed with some other names, and this shit just sounded like strong, like, you know, like powerful. And one day I just asked Hakeem, I asked Bakari, like, yo, are you really using that? Like, are you gonna use that for your DJ name? And he was like, whatever. And I was like, can I get it? And he was like, yeah, go ahead. So from that day on, I had been DJ Drama. And, you know, when I got to Atlanta, you know, a couple years later, when I first got to Atlanta, I tried to change my name for some reason to Jedi, and then, you know, around them times, like, there was another DJ in Atlanta. His name was Trauma, and he was pretty popular at the time. That's my man. We've always been close, and then, you know, K Slay was out, and he was big, and his moniker was the Drama King, and I just was like, man. And then, you know, just the word drama, like, in the English dictionary is a pretty popular word. I was like, nobody's ever gonna think about me when it comes to DJ Drama, and, you know, I kept looking for reasons to change it, and then a good friend of mine, DJ Mars, told me, yo, don't change your name to nobody, like, and right, and then, you know, here we are.
There we go, man. Comments here. So Clock Atlanta, that's where you started really pushing your mixtape game in, right? Down in Atlanta, right?
I really started in Philly. I mean, I've been doing mixtapes since I was in high school. But yeah, when I got to Atlanta, I was going to Clark Atlanta University. So that was my first, that was the first place that I would really hustle my mixtapes, for sure.
Right. I read up where you said you went around and hustled your mixtape, and people would ask you, like, who was DJ Drama? And you just told people you worked for this guy. So
yeah,
you have a picture of yourself on the mixtape or nothing? It was just the name?
Nah, yeah, I didn't put my picture. Man, I didn't put my picture on a mixtape till fucking. First time I ever put my picture on the mixtape cover was Gangster Girls 10, like with Big Boy. Like, maybe before that, maybe like at 8 or something, I put my face on the back cover. But in those days, nah, I never I never put my face on the cover. I didn't even really like talk on the tapes that much back then. And, you know, I know it's kind of hard to fathom now that people would be like, who's DJ Drama? But, you know, they were mixtapes. So I was selling them more based upon the music that was on them. And, you know, I would make sure that I had like a tape for everybody. Like I had an R&B tape, I had a neo soul tape, I had a up north hip hop tape, I had an old school tape, because, you know, that was my selling point. It wasn't my name. It was like, yo, I got hot music for everybody. You know what I'm saying? So, and yeah, like nobody knew who DJ Drama was. Like, who's this guy? And I was like, you know, I knew how people would take it if I was there, if they saw me, like, and I was like, it's me, you know, and they'd be like, oh man, I know how they all saw. I just felt it was a good marketing scheme to be like, yeah, I work for dude. I don't even know him, to make him seem bigger than you, to make myself seem bigger than I was at the time.
Got you.
It worked. It worked.
So what DJs inspired you? Like give me your top 3 DJs that really inspired you to do what you're doing today.
I mean, definitely DJ Clue, SNS. SNS was the first mixtape I ever listened to. Mm-hmm. I'd probably have to give you 4 to be fair, and then it's tough. I'm gonna have to give you 5. Doo-Wop, and then Green Lantern and Who Kid. Mm-hmm. Green Lantern and Who Kid later, like in the late, like SNS, Clue, and Doo-Wop were my early formidable years of really trying to, you know, I was just a fan at that point. You know, I was making mixtapes, but I wasn't in the mixtape game. Green Lantern and Who Kid really, you know, when I started to really like, when I was like kind of growing into the mixtape game, those guys were like icons to me. Like everything they did or they dropped, I was just like fascinated by. Me, Sense and Cannon, we just like, you know, we worship those guys. I mean, you know, they're both great friends of mine, you know, but before we were close, like you know, those guys were like gods to me.
And I always thought, you know, you, Green Lantern, and my homie Moondog, I thought y'all were related, you know, like the light-skinned crew, man, just run.
You know, it's a lot of us, to be honest. My man Lake always says, like, the DJ look, like, light-skinned with beard. Like, it's a bunch of us. So, yeah, you're not the first person to say that. Those my brothers, though, for sure. We just got different mothers.
All right, so how did you evolve into DJ Drama? Like, what gave you the spotlight?
I mean, honestly, Gangster Grills, you know, I feel like was my spotlight. Like, you know, now in 2020, going on 2021, people know me for a lot of various things, but, you know, clearly Gangster Grills as a brand and the mixtape was what I was synonymous for, you know, early on in my career, and what I feel like got me famous, you know, and obviously, like, when it comes to Gangster Grills, like, the first 3 guys that people equated to are Tip, Jeezy, and Wayne. So, yeah, you know, in those years, like when Gangster Grills was a brand and I was creating it and turning it into something, and, you know, I hooked up with those 3 guys at various times. That was, you know, I feel like that was what that was when I got a lot of eyes on me.
Got you. At what point did you ask yourself, is DJing what I really want to do the rest of my life?
That's a good question. You know what? To be honest, it was when I got out of college, I went to college for like, my major was like mass communications. And I've always been into film. I love movies. My sister's a filmmaker, you know, and I kind of dabbled in the idea of possibly getting into, you know, film in my teenage years. But I got out when I graduated from school, I got a production assistant job to work on Baby Boy in LA.
Oh, word. Okay.
And I went to LA and I worked on Baby Boy for a small portion of time. And, you know, a production assistant job is damn near almost an intern for the most part. You know, I was doing, you know, I was making $10 an hour, or I was doing just, you know, odd jobs or whatever. I mean, it was a great experience, and, you know, rest in peace, John Singleton. We wound up hooking back up later on in life. But I also had my first overseas gig in London during the time when I was working there. And I told them, hey, I got to leave for a little bit to go. I have a gig. So when I went to go do the gig in London, I decided I wasn't going to go back to the film set. And I was just like, you know, I just felt like it was like an intern job in a sense. And it was like, I felt like I was starting from ground zero, you know, and here I have to work my way up into the film world. And I'm already kind of like, I just did my first overseas gig, you know what I'm saying? And I rocked. And it's not like I'm going to work at Dr. Dre's studio as an intern, you feel me? And so I was, you know, at that moment, I was just like, you know, I'm going to pursue this career path. And, you know, I never had a job after that. Like, you know, that was my last real, like, job. And, you know, I hustled. And, you know, it also, there were some years early on, and, you know, in those years that I couldn't really pay my gas or my heat bill, but, you know, I was grinding it out, you know what I'm saying? And I just, like, I gave myself 24/7, and I just, you know, I never looked back.
Real shit. DJ Drama is here, New Era TV. Question that everybody wanted me to ask you, man, and I know the answer to it, but people want to know, like, who's the voice behind the Gangster Grills tag?
That's obviously easy, but it's Little John. So Little John, when Gangster Grills was becoming a series, when I started it, you know, hosting of mixtapes was the it thing at the time. Like, you know, that's what people mainly on the East Coast was doing. Like, you would have your mixtape, you would have your exclusives, but you also, people would pay more attention to it if you had a host. You feel what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I was pretty much just following that formula. And, you know, I went around, I thought about a couple of people in Atlanta that I knew that were kind of on, that could potentially host Gangster Grills. And I went to like 3 people. 2 of them declined, and Little John was like, yeah, I got you. You know, and I knew Little John through Sense, who had been interning at Hot 107.9 at the time. And we had crossed paths a couple times. And, you know, he came through the crib. And I think I had did 2 Gangster Grills before that, but I accidentally told him it was Gangster Grills 4, and I never did a 3. So he hosted Gangster Grills 4 for me. That was the first host of the mixtape. And then the next tape, I didn't have a host. Everybody was like, who you gonna have host? Who you gonna have host? I didn't have anybody. So I just took his voice and put drops throughout the tape, not even realizing how much I was branding, you know, making it a brand or what have you. And it just, you know, it stuck.
Took off, man. So from the mixtape era, and one thing that I've come to realize is that when you drop various artists' mixtapes, it's kind of hard to get exclusives because you got so many DJs now that have the same songs you have on every tape. So with you coming up in the mixtape industry in Atlanta, how did you get your records first? Because I know your mixtapes were hot back then. So how did you stay ahead of the curve? And you had other DJs like Holiday. You had a couple of other cats doing mixtapes too.
Holiday's my son. So Holiday wasn't even he wasn't even in the game yet in them years. I mean, to be honest, like, with all due respect to all the guys, you know, my main competition at that time was Big Oomp, you know, and you know, and Jelly and Monte and them. Like, when it came to Atlanta, you know what I'm saying? Scream was me and Scream are somewhat from the same class, but I still was kind of somewhat ahead of him. Okay. But I didn't really, you know, it wasn't really, South mixtapes were a different style and format at the time. So what I was doing, like, people told me that's not what people in the South want to hear. So I was really taking the up north formula and applying it to Southern music. So there were just different directions that I was going in that made it different from what Camp and the other guys. There's another DJ from the Whoop There It Is. I forget his name, but he used to do real good in Atlanta too. Damn, I forget his name, but he used to like sell out like hotcakes. Damn. Because they used to pretty much just like it was just songs. Like, it was just songs. And I came with a style where I was getting niggas I was having Killer Mike and Field Mob and Tip and all these niggas freestyling on my tapes. And then I started talking shit and, you know, putting drops, and the style was just different from what they were doing. And I had covers, and, you know, like, that was even kind of new to Atlanta for the most part. So I just took a different approach because honestly, I couldn't compete with them niggas. Like, they were light years ahead of me. When the Gangster Girls first started, it was blowing me out the waters. Like, there was no competition. So you know, unbeknownst, I just took a different approach and tried to, you know, create my own lane, and it worked. You know what I'm saying? And then you know, when I started with Tip and we did the PSE in the Streets meets Gangster Grills, it was the first of its kind. Like you couldn't get that music nowhere else. So it wasn't even like I was competing with songs anymore, because if you wanted that new T.I. shit, like you had to go get the new Gangster Grills, or if you wanted, you know, when you had to get the Gangster Grills to hear Jeezy, because that was the only place it was. So, you know, I was creating music, and then I wasn't going, you know, respectfully, like I was taking a different approach. Like when songs like White Tee and Nuck If You Buck were really popular, and rightfully so, I chose not to put those on a tape because I knew they would be on everybody else's tape. So you can go get another tape if you wanted to get those. I was putting new Stat Quo or Killer Mike, you know, freestyle or something on mine, just to, you know, just to give it an edge a little bit, and it worked.
Oh, so what? I got my list of my top 6 Gangster Grills right here. I'm gonna start with my first one, Young Jeezy, Trap or Die. You got Young Buck, Welcome to the Trap House. Young Jeezy, Can't Ban the Snowman. Tiger, Well Done. The First Dedication, and then my favorite one of all time, for real, In My Mind, classic one. Now, when it comes to putting together a Gangster Grills tape, because back then, Affiliates Music Group consisted of you, Don Cannon, and my brother Sense. It was a 3-headed machine. I will always hear everybody's tag on the same mixtape. Like, what led to y'all doing that on every Gangster Grill tape? Even though it was hosted by DJ Drama, you had everybody collectively on the tape when it comes to input.
I mean, we were a collective. Like those were my brothers. So we came up together, you know what I'm saying? So I was just trying to, you know, it was branding, you know what I mean? It was a platform for us to all like kind of rocket off of, you know what I mean? So it was a no-brainer, you know. And I mean, you know, the majority of the tapes were mine, and you know, there's various ones that we posted together, but you know, through the years they both had very important input into Gangster Grills and my career, and you know what we all do together.
So you got to I forgot to add Willie the Kid, man. His first Gangster Grill was classic. Are you and him still rocking?
That's my man. That's my brother also. You know, we haven't worked together in quite some time, over a decade, but you know, we run into each other every now and then. I'm happy for him still doing his thing, and you know, he congratulates us on our success. So, you know, it was you know, we go back. I go back with Willie since college.
Dope. He went to Clark?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. What artist would you say really pushed your brand to the next level?
That's impossible to answer. That's like, which artist didn't? Like, you know, they've all. So many artists have been a part of my careers. I've been a part of so many artists' movements. We could be here for an hour.
Ah, man. What's your take on the mixtape game right now? Mixtapes are kind of dry right now. Everybody's going to, you know, Spotify, Apple Music. You don't really see many artists doing mixtapes. So what's your take on that right now?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really exist that much. I mean, like you just said, you know, the DSPs kind of knocked them out of the box. I mean, you know, Wayne just dropped No Ceilings 3. I got some things in the works. You know, but it's hard to differentiate from an album and a mixtape these days. But, you know, I mean.
Got you.
Yeah.
So you're signed to Atlantic Records, correct?
No, not anymore. I was signed there as an artist. I have a label. I have a joint venture with Atlantic, with my label Generation Now.
So, okay, so the artist on the Generation Now is Lil Uzi, Jack, and Scheme, correct?
Scheme and Seti Hendrix.
Okay, and Seti just dropped a project too. Seti was just down here about a month ago here at a club, man.
Yeah.
So how did you get linked up with Lil Uzi? How did that relationship happen?
Through Cannon. Cannon came to the studio one day and was like, "Yo, it's this artist in Philly that I heard when I was home," and I was like, "Yo, let's get him." And that's where the relationship started.
Jack
Moved out to Atlanta and started working with me.
is next up right now. Jack is out there. He's got the album. He got an album coming out this week, correct? If I'm correct.
Tonight.
Okay. So what's your relationship like with him, and how did you guys get looked up?
Through a mutual friend of mine. He told me about Jack one day. I started following him on Instagram. He had like 7,000 followers, and he saw I followed him. He followed me back. He said he told his homeboys, like, I'm a sign of DJ Drama, and he did just that.
This is history. All right, so Gucci Mane versus Jeezy, man. I noticed during the verse, Gucci had Holiday for the DJ, but you know, I didn't hear no gangster grill tags in the background for Jeezy. But were you a part of it? Like, did you have any input with that when it came down to like direction on song direction, as far as what Jeezy wanted to go with?
Nah, I just went in support, man. I mean, you know, those are both my brothers. I got history with both those guys. You know, I talked to Jeezy a little bit like before the verses, and Gucci as well. But you know, I kind of was just watching from the sidelines, just happy to see it happen.
Fact. So when is the next DJ Drama album coming out?
That's a good question, man. I've been working on some things. So, you know, stay tuned.
Got you. What are 3 things you tell yourself every day to stay motivated, Drama?
That I ain't done nothing yet. That it's amazing how far I've come, and what I've accomplished. And that, you know, that I do this because I love it. Like, you know, my goal was to get my name on a flyer. So everything after that has been extra.
History in the making. We got any tours lined up? Any big tours lined up after COVID?
Man, who knows? When's after COVID, you know? So
DJ Drama, I appreciate you doing this interview, brother. Yo,
love, bro.
Grinding, man. Look, when you come to Birmingham, you got to hit me up, man, to get some barbecue.
Definitely tap in with you for sure.
Tap in. DJ Drama here, New Era TV. One more question. I'll let you go, man. Is the Academy still flying? The brand still flying?
I mean, we still have, you know, DJs that are part of it. You know, it's like a fam, but I can't say we've had too much focus on it the last few years.
So DJ Drama's here, man. New Era TV. My brother, wear that mask and be safe, dog.
Love, bro. Same to you. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you, dog.
One.